everyone. Oh no, what happened, Donald? Trump grows pessimistic about the prospect of ending the Russia-Ukraine war. Oh, goody goody. In case anybody is keeping track, that is a big-time unfulfilled election campaign promise. Do you remember that? Do you remember the number of times he said he could end the war in 24 hours? Of course, since then, he backpedaled a couple of times and said he was just joking. But my question is, if you're just joking, then why do you keep repeating that? To appeal to your voters. Why would you do that? If it's not anything serious, if it's not anything you can actually do, and frankly don't know much about, why keep hammering it? Interesting strategy. Now, one of the things that he said was that Europe must stop purchasing Russian oil that is funding the war. Sweetie, you need to be more specific. Most of Europe already has. You know who keeps buying Russian oil? Let me remind you. Slovakia, Bosnia, and Hungary. That's right, your buddy, Viktor Orban. So maybe you should give him a call personally, since you're just such lovely friends, and let him know that maybe he should stop. Just a suggestion. And then, of course, there is this. Putin continues basically plugging the my way or the highway approach, saying that Ukraine doesn't need any security guarantees. Really? It doesn't? Are you sure about that? And he did say that any Allied troops present on Ukrainian soil, if only to maintain security, will be treated as targets. Now, folks, I also want to remind you, okay, that when it comes to treating whatever as a target, Putin has a very broad spectrum. I mentioned this in the past that when Ukrainian government asked him to allow for some green corridors to evacuate civilians from the areas that are close to the front and are getting shelled, he said they will be treated as targets. If he sees any caravan of vehicles, cars, trucks, minivans, whatever, he will treat it as a military target. When he was asked to stop targeting cargo ships going in and out of the Odessa port, he once again said he didn't care and would treat anything that goes in and out of Ukraine as a military target. So once again, folks, I am asking our international allies, why are you trying to push Ukraine to talk to this guy? He once again blames Ukraine for being unwilling to negotiate. He says that he doesn't see much point. Why? Because it is nearly impossible to reach agreement with the Ukrainian side on key issues. Key issues, asshole, is that you invaded Ukraine and they don't want you there. They never wanted you there to begin with. Nobody asked you to be there. You're not defending anyone. You're not protecting anybody's rights. Your soldiers have committed horrific atrocities in Ukrainian cities. So that is the key issue. Just leave. Grab your army and get them the fuck out of there. This is not complicated. This is the only key issue that matters. You started this. And now you can't figure out how to save face and how to untangle yourself from this. Because, surprise, Ukrainians did not greet you with open arms and you didn't get to have a victory parade in Kyiv. After 3.5 years, or depending on how you count, after 11 years, you should know by now. Nobody in Ukraine wants you there. So, meanwhile, again, Ukraine continues moving along with the rest of the allies. The group is led by the UK and France, but other countries are included, and they're all working together on figuring something out. And, Putin's behavior is such, and his rhetoric is such, that Zelensky already told him, guys, this is not going to happen. There's not going to be any negotiations between Russia and Ukraine under the current circumstances. The only way it's going to happen is basically like a shotgun wedding. And you have to help us provide the shotgun in question. Putin does not want to talk. He wants a capitulation. That is the key point. So he has already brought up the question of providing security before any agreement with Russia is reached, because it's not possible to reach an agreement with Russia unless there is additional military pressure. Meanwhile, Ukraine continues doing what it's doing, targeting Russia's oil industry and Russia's military objects. Because, guess what? If Russia cannot obtain, refine, and ship its oil, it's not going to get more money for the war. And not just that. There was an interesting article I read recently that showed a chart demonstrating the exchange of goods between Russia and China. And basically, you could say it's almost like a barter system. Russian oil in exchange for everything else. Not just the stuff that China pretends not to supply to Russia for the military-industrial complex, but literally everything. Different foods, clothes, consumer electronics, all kinds of just your basic everyday consumer goods. So make no mistake. If Russia stops being an oil hub, its friends will lose interest in it very quickly. And that's what Ukraine is trying to achieve. Meanwhile, while Putin waxes lyrical about key issues, this continues to happen. Russian military, on his orders, continues murdering Ukrainian people indiscriminately. The latest strike included 157 attack and decoy drones, as well as 6 S-300 guided missiles and an X-59 air-launched missile. And again, all of that went against civilian target. The worst attacks were in the Donetsk region, where 5 people were killed and 2 more were injured. Chernihiv, 2 people killed. The target there was a Danish humanitarian demining group. Remember, we talked about in the past that the areas that were liberated from Russian occupation were left with a huge, enormous amount of landmines. And so that's what this group was doing there, is helping sort that out. 3 more people were killed in the Kharkiv region, and 1 more person was killed in Kherson region. And again, the strikes landed in residential areas. That is Russia for you. More to come.